Okay, so your first question is, what are two personality traits that an executive vice president should possess? Explain why these two traits are important to the role and upholding APSA's uh, in fulfilling APSA's mission statement.
Two personality traits. Can
Mm-hmm.
you just say that one more time, please? Sorry.
Yeah. What are two personality traits that an executive vice president should possess? Explain why these two traits are important to the role and fulfilling APSA's mission statement.
I think first off, this doesn't apply specifically to mine, but I think it's very important is just being able to communicate well and often. Um, Having to coordinate FTS, like I know already that it's not just up to me. I have to manage, if I got this position, I would have to manage all sorts of different people, and being in constant communication and knowing the status of like how things are going is extremely important. And that's just for FTS. Obviously, there's branch members that I have to worry about and help them stay on track. Whether or not like I'm hounding them, it's just good to have to follow up and constantly just be in communication so you know everything's smooth. Because the worst thing you can do is just assume it's all going right and then be blindsided when it matters the most. So I think communication is being communicative, yeah, is key. Another one is just being like aware of time. Obviously, FTS takes a lot longer than you would think to plan. It's not the um it doesn't really adhere to the 4-week planning guide. Like this, it goes way beyond that. And being aware of like the time schedule of like when you can fit in going to meet possible sponsors or talking to like auxiliary heads, like those things you have to be aware of, like where that fits in, when they should be starting. Like you should know when things should happen, which just goes back to just not being blindsided. It comes hand in hand with communication, because when you know when things should happen and then they don't happen, you can communicate quickly, but you really need them both.
Okay, so moving on. It is your duty as EVP to oversee the executive branch and extended executive board. This requires a high level of respect and ability to take disciplinary action when necessary. In case that the members of your branch and/or the members of E Squared do not take you seriously, what would you do? How can you establish your credibility as EVP?
First off, if I hadn't earned the respect already, there's something initially wrong with what I've done. I can't imagine like the way that I act now that somebody would just lose respect, especially because I believe I'm a personally somebody that's good at listening. And so that makes people feel valid. If you listen to them and listen to their like whatever they're feeling, like that should help earn the respect. And if I wasn't listening before, I will definitely listen now. And just to continue earning the respect, just being a role model or being somebody that tries to get their work done in a timely manner. It's just leading by example, and also communicating. If somebody doesn't respect me, I would have to ask why, because maybe it's something that I can change if it's a shortcoming on my part, or if they just don't understand like a certain thing that I do or the way that I do things. A lot of problems can be solved just by talking quickly. And yeah, I think that yeah, to earn somebody's respect, I just have to be able to listen and be open to any suggestions or change that they may have, regardless of whether or not they're wrong or right. I still have to listen to it and respect it. And I have to respect them, and I should, and I will. Yeah, it's both ways.
Okay, the next question, just to preface it, since there is no candidate for president and you're running for EVP, just look as it pertains to your relationship between the president and EVP. So just look at it as though either you succeed the title of president or you find someone to fill the vacancy. So as EVP, you're required to work in close proximity with the president. What type of relationship do you want between the two of you? What would you do in the case that you and the president are unable to agree on a vital decision regarding the executive board?
So, well, keeping in mind, so can you say that one more time, please?
I guess like when answering it, it doesn't quite matter whether or not you are the EVP or the president in the situation, because either way, you're going to be having to create a specific type of relationship between you two. So the question is, what type of relationship do you want to build, and what would you do in the case that you disagree pertaining to a vital decision regarding e-board?
Okay, so I respect the president's position and the fact that they are like the head. I see it my position as not a filter, but like a secondary, and I will voice my opinion. So the first thing is I'm not gonna shut up just because they're the president. I'm gonna voice my opinion, and if they see that it is wrong or there's a better alternative, I'm gonna respect their decision, because that's why they're the president. It's not to undermine what I think, but if I put my best case forward and it didn't like win them over in a disagreement, I'm gonna have to accept that. And if it pertains to e-board though, it might have to extend beyond just me and the president. Really, it's a situational question or like scenario, but if it applies to all of e-board, they might all should have like a say in this matter. And so I'd also be willing to hear what they have to say. But in terms of the relationship, I think it's great when somebody disagrees in a productive manner. And if I am willing to like discuss things with the president and just be like back and forth, like, oh, this won't work. Oh, this would work. Meeting compromise, like two heads are better than one. And so I really think that it's a give and take, and I'm willing to make the mistakes for bringing any ideas up if they're willing to just like talk it out with in a productive manner.
How would you measure successful FTS and a successful year for E squared?
Okay, so like I said, I've never experienced FTS, but when I think about it, like I said in my speech, I've really seen some of the impacts that it has on people. Like it's just like opened their eyes to like, oh my gosh, I want to join apps, or I'm or like I want to go off and do my own thing relating to the arts or something. I really think all it takes is just changing the mind, or changing the mind of any individual, anyone that sees this and they just like, and they find pride in themselves as an Asian and part of this community, API member, sorry. I really just think it's just to inspire and make somebody feel more welcome or more connected, because that's all you can ask for. It's fashion talent. It's just showcasing that we are greater than like our degrees. Like you can do more outside. And for a successful E squared, like I said, it's not always about having the next batch of board members ready, but I honestly think that like if somebody left, like having learned something from E squared and they apply it to their internship or job, like, and they actually use their skills, I think that's already a success in and of itself. And it's great if you inspire enough people to want to run for board, but that's not a requirement. I think it's just changing somebody's life for the better in E squared. And I also know there's a little social aspect of it that, it's not really advertised, but you find yourself in a group of members that are interested in being leaders. And so it's like reassuring to know that there's other people like you that want to do that. And just building that community is also something that I would gauge as like a success.
That was the last of the questions that we had for you, but would you like to add anything else?
I just want to thank everybody here for making this such a great environment and making my experience. I know it's a little selfish, but I've had a great experience in APSA, and I thank you all for that, because if there wasn't APSA, I'd just be a sad engineer. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Xavier.